The year is 2026 and for some reason I'm about to make a video talking about that time that I got reincarnated as a slime.
What?
Now, normally speaking, I should be asking myself serious questions like, am I going through something in my life? Like, is something bad happening to make me watch this anime? Not that bad, I think like any normal person, so it's not that. Okay, then the next question should be, is it because the season's just so boring? Like, there's no options to watch, that's why I'm watching it. Not really. Again, I feel like this season is packed with a lot of anime that I would like to watch, but unfortunately sometimes I can't watch them. So it's not that, it's not because the season's boring. Then the next question should be then like, is this season so special and so amazing? That's why I'm back and watching this anime? No. It's none of those things. So what exactly is it at this point?
Because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button and to subscribe and the post notification button.
The thing is, when it comes to this anime, I just have to be really honest with you. I stopped watching this anime around halfway in the second season. Then I never returned. Don't know why, I just never returned. And for some reason, this season, a lot of people were telling me to watch this season. I don't know why, but they said watch it. And I was like, okay, fine, And to be honest with you, so far in terms of this entire season, it's been going through a lot of things, like basically a bunch of dungeon stuff, council stuff, discovering like an ancient civilization, not really, but going down a dungeon again. That doesn't seem like anything pretty special to be talking about. It kind of sounds boring. To be honest with you, just mundane. And I did ask myself, oh yeah, there's a new villain who's introduced. Yeah, anyway, the thing is, I kind of was asking myself the same question because every single episode, they were just going through basic things, it's an isekai, so there are elements of dungeons and council stuff, I guess, and villains who don't like the MC. But for some reason, I kept enjoying watching every single episode. If I was lucky enough, sometimes I'd like not watch a few episodes and then I could binge. But I really enjoyed coming back to this anime. And it confused me because nothing about this entire season would be the usual things I would get a normal person to just return. And I think that might be why it's that good for me for some reason. Because when I was watching this anime in this season, it kind of just reminded me about what made this anime initially so special. Because when I first watched this anime, it's basically about a slime. He gets really powerful, cool. He wants to build a civilization, yada yada yada, cool. But eventually, I felt like I had this issue where I was like, okay, he's just so OP, and I don't know why I really lost interest. I won't lie to you. It wasn't that deep, but I just stopped. But then when I began watching this season again, I think I actually did a good thing by skipping a few seasons or episodes, which is actually not a good thing. You shouldn't actually really do that. But I kind of had this vivid memory of what it was like and what things were during that period within season 2. And to fast forward and see how far things have like gone and all of the unique characters, for some reason I started to fall deeply in love with the anime again. I was really fascinated by what had been happening since I last watched this anime. And before I knew it, I was watching a bunch of videos about certain characters who I didn't know. I just wanted to know more about them and the world, and then it hit me, that word, the world. This anime, and I remember it at the beginning, had such a really unique way of approaching its world. Now, not necessarily that like it's the most unique thing ever, but the world was so big. And now when you fast forward to where I'm at right now in this season, it got even more bigger. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I fell for those mundane things. It wasn't necessarily the fact that they had these big events or these sort of things that would stimulate a person's mind to like love a season because there's like a crazy tournament arc or just some crazy moment. The villain is there, but those who know, like, there was something cool about actually just learning about these individuals. Because like Rimuru basically goes through this little period, it's a long story, but like they build a dungeon to make money, which is kind of funny because they're like in an isekai world. But basically he's found a way to like incentivize and make money off of like dungeons and exploring in an isekai, which is like pretty crazy and funny. And it becomes this thing where like they're trying to make money, but at the same time there's this group of people who are like flying through the dungeon, so they gotta find a way to slow them down because there's some issues, and they just basically start doing a bunch of stuff that results in them basically cosplaying as monsters and destroying them. It was really fun. And in that entire process, you would generally think that you're watching filler. The villain is looming in the background, but they're just doing like the most dumbest stuff really, but it kind of makes sense. And the way that it approaches the mundane stuff that would generally feel like filler is fascinating because the world in itself is so expansive and the characters are so unique and so alive that you're actually interested in what they do in terms of the mundane things. You know that eventually there'll be a moment where they will fight each other and display how powerful they are. I never had that feeling of wanting to see them do that. And that's really weird for me, because I genuinely would have thought, if you're gonna bring me back to the season, something crazy has to be happening. No, which is extremely unusual. And this for me kind of broke my brain, because I don't know why I started having so much fun. And even in making this video, I cannot explain it. I can kind of like give an idea of why I'm having so much fun, but for some reason, it seems like this is an anime for me that I keep wanting to come back to and listen and see all of these things, because of just how invested it seems to like basically showing you this whole new world. And I think that an element that does play into the story and this anime is the element of it being an isekai. I think that it does draw this element of what an isekai should be. Not necessarily that like it's a manual or anything like that, but it kind of sticks to what an isekai kind of felt like or was for me, where it's like you're in a different world, you're gonna see a bunch of different things, you're gonna interact with a bunch of different things. And that was kind of the fun when I used to dream about it as a kid. Like, imagine going to a fantasy world and all these unique creatures and lifestyles and magic and powers, and it was the entire full package that incentivized me to like isekai. Games have that element as well, where you play this game and you jump into a whole new world. Isekais are supposed to relatively be the pinnacle of what that should feel like, and I think that this season really captures the aspect of exploring the world. You know, like how in certain games where like you don't understand why people put like hours of time into the game, this is kind of like that thing where it's always these side quests and the conversations with certain characters and exploring and finding different things that seems to really sap up the amount of time that's put into this whole thing. And when I was watching this season, I found myself so fascinated in so many different things besides the main mission of the fact that there's this villain who is basically trying to get Rimuru. I didn't really care, and it wasn't one of the things that incentivized me to watch it. I just enjoyed watching the anime. And in terms of this season overall, what an amazing thing that it's actually doing, because the fact that it was able to capture a person like me who gave up on it, and I still don't know why. Actually, I need to like look back and think about why I just dropped that anime. But the fact that I was able to just jump in and be able to have a really fun experience. You know what I actually think? I think as I grew older, I started to like JRPGs and RPGs a bit more. Maybe that's why. The ability of it to really entice this aspect of you because of the world being so well built is something that is so universal that it seems like it can capture pretty much anyone, because I still don't know why those people told me to watch this season, knowing full well that it doesn't really have a bunch of things that you would think a general person would be enticed to quickly go watch. Even the crazy boss moment that does happen in the season is lackluster. Even in my opinion, it might have been like the worst part of the season, actually, if I'm being honest with you. It was... But the fact that the other parts that usually feel like filler to a lot of people were the best parts feels weird to me. Normally everything should build up to that big boss fight, and that's where you get the big payoff. It kind of reminds me of like when you play Persona. It's about the fun activities in between before you have to eventually go fight the boss. It kind of felt like that. And this then kind of leaves you in a weird position, but specifically me, because how do you tell other people that they should give this anime a try because of the fact that it does mundane things?
No.
What?
No.
It was able to entice a part of my mind that enjoyed isekai. It really tapped into that whole part of world building, which seemed like to be like the most biggest aspect of isekai, but it does it in its own way that kind of keeps things fresh, fun, and even allows this anime to get away with stuff that, honestly speaking, you might say is actually filler stuff, but it's just so well done that it's actually pretty good. And the thing about this, and honesty, I gave up halfway in terms of season 2. I don't know what happened in season 3, or like, you know what I'm saying? I could be hyped and having so much fun with maybe a season that people perceive to be the most boring. That is like the funny part about this video. If you're a person who's really into maybe world building, like you care about the world building aspect of an isekai, you want to see different races, you want to see different religions, powers, and basically all of the hoopla that kind of just, you know, summarizes what an isekai is, you're gonna enjoy season 4 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It's kind of crazy that the name is so long, but then like the Japanese name is just Tensura. I don't know why I said that in that voice.